Comics are booming. That's what they say. This is a story that I had covered the beginning stages of with this whole heavy metal magazine thing, but I hadn't covered this part of it. It actually flew on the radar and I kind of missed it. This happened last month and I wanted to be sure to give an update because I did cover when there was some changes happening with heavy metal magazine, as there are with a lot of comic book companies that have been around. The industry is not doing as well as they'd like to pretend that it is. But there was a new CEO that was put in place, or interim CEO, let's say that. The other one, I think, quit. There was some financial issues, I think, that they had, and it seems like some investors came in and kind of had to save them, which probably means assets have been sold off and all of that stuff. So ICV2, they interviewed the interim CEO, and I do want to talk about some of this stuff as far as what was happening at the end of this previous year and kind of what happened out of all of that. So here's this is a question. What is the current management structure of heavy metal now that Matt Metney is gone? He says he's taking the role of CEO. Jamie Penrose is taking the role of COO or interim, and blah, blah, blah. So they have some organizational changes. That stuff happens with businesses. But this is the interesting part here. We heard that heavy metal was experiencing cash flow problems toward the end of 2022 and that it was late in paying its creators and closed its office over for the holidays. Can you explain what happened and update us on the situation? That was the situation that we covered. He says, it's true. The publishing side of the business did have cash flow issues towards the end of the year. Okay. So they're saying that there's a fundamental problem with them not being able to have the money to continue to operate under such capacity. Noting we have now taken very deliberate steps to manage our cash flow effectively. Regrettably, Heavy Metal Magazine or HME was late in paying some of its creators, which you heard about that, and we undertook to rectify the situation as soon as we could. As part of the process, we made it a priority to get across our publishing obligations. We have also been focusing on strengthening our subsidiaries and attracting new partners and additional investment. Look, I've been trying to tell y'all about this industry. And it's not just with this part of the industry, but a lot of entertainment industry, bro, it's smoke and mirrors. These guys got to get bailed out by investors. Big Daddy has to come through and drop a wad of cash. They have to sell off portions of their company, which we're never going to know that part of it and how much of that happened. But yeah, when you're actively looking for these types of people, that's why. It's a heavy metal magazine, bro. Or anything. Like, if it's doing as well as what it's supposed to be doing, this is not necessary. You only have to do that when the cash is at an issue. You don't got the monies to be able to continue to operate the way that you were before. That's what this company was facing. That's what other companies have been facing in the entertainment industry. This is why you're seeing layoffs. This is why you're seeing firings. This is why you're seeing that. But for whatever reason, you have people, we keep hearing story after story, company after company, people being late on their payments because they don't got the money. And there's still people that participate, like, let's say the Access Media types that are acting like comics are just doing as good as they possibly can. Like, how many more companies do we have to find as an example that they're not? We see what happened with IDW and how much money they've been bleeding. We saw what happened with Aftershock. We've seen these creators come out talking about these bigger companies and how much how they're losing money or not getting their money, and they're like months late on getting payments, man. Were staff paid for the time when office was closed? While work on the creative content had continued at a measured pace, our administrative and editorial contracts and freelancers finished up in the year on the 16th of December 2022. A furlough was instituted beyond that date and until such time as our staff requirements are realigned with processes and procedures we wish to put in place in order to improve operational efficiency, effectiveness. The management team has worked throughout the holidays. So you have like entire squad that have been furloughed. These cats ain't even working. They said about this relaunch of Heavy Metal Magazine in February. We are moving forward with the relaunch of our magazine. However, a major change in executive staff requires a bit of time to stabilize. We are currently reviewing what's best for our relaunch of the magazine as a result. It looks like it's been pushed back from all accounts back as far as May for their relaunch. This is not signs, bro, of an industry that is doing well, okay? I know that you don't like for your ideological enemies to be correct. That's what this is all about. This is why when you say something about box office returns or you say something about whatever's going on in comic books, you know, these guys that are so ideologically possessed, they like to say we are, but they really are the ones that are so ideologically possessed. They can't handle a world where their enemy is right. They can't. So instead of acknowledging the truth, they say, well, it's all fake. And, you know, you guys, comics are booming. They're doing better than they've ever been. Look at the top sales. Even though now let me just give you guys a summary of what's been going down. IDW is that stock floating under $1. Shares floating under $1. Okay. We saw their earnings report. They have been losing money, operational costs, and what have you. You have Aftershock, which we've covered. Unfortunately, the great Cliff Richards has been caught up in all of that right now. So they went bankrupt, okay? That actually happened. We covered that there were those not bigger names, but let's say guys that have been working for the mainstream, okay, who were saying that as creators, they have been months late, and that is becoming a reoccurring thing. Valiant. They, I think, moved to maybe one month of release in terms of their title. We've heard about them not paying sort of their artists. We got this whole situation where you're getting a big time shakeup with Heavy Metal Magazine and furloughs and firings and people being late on their monies. Or getting their monies, right? This has been happening. We go company to company to company. This has been happening. Diamond. Let me mention the more important thing. We don't know what the numbers are in terms of sales, and we have not known for almost a year. The last time that Diamond, who distributed at one point pretty much everybody, now not so much, but they no longer make their sales public as of April 2022. So last year, they stopped doing that. Lunar, as well as Penguin Random House, the two guys that distribute Marvel and DC comics, none of those guys are public with their numbers. So we don't know actually how good these books are doing. There's trying to be guesses by way of like ICV2 and trying to look at participating stores who are reporting their numbers, as well as, which is a handful of them, as well as like looking at the NPD book scans. But as far as actual sales, even to the stores, we don't know what those numbers are. This is not the sign. Hate me all you want. I'm just giving you the factual information. If their numbers were doing great, they wouldn't stop telling you about them. This is not a sign of a thriving industry, period. It's not. And in order to correct the problem, this is what the Access Media guys don't understand. The people that, again, that don't like guys like myself. What you guys don't understand is that the problem can never be resolved. And everybody, it hurts for everybody that's participating on that side of the industry. It hurts them when you don't acknowledge the truth, whether it be the content problems, whether it be the lack of enthusiasm that you're able to get, whatever it is. If you can't be honest with yourself, how can you correct the problem? You can't. Newsflash, you can't. You cannot address the issue unless you are looking at it and assessing it honestly. And that's what they're failing to do. There's a wad of crap sitting in the corner, and instead of acknowledging that it's there, they're acting like the room smells glorious. It smells like roses. It's great. That's not the truth. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.